I often wake up really early in the morning, so I come down like at 4 a.m. is about my favorite time to design. And so I come down here with my cup of coffee and I start looking at those trays and I start moving things around, and I pull out some beach stones or some gemstones and start trying to decide how it's all going to go together. My name is April Ottey and I live in Port Townsend, out on the Olympic Peninsula, and I am a jeweler and metalsmith. 6 or 7 years ago, I realized I really wanted to start casting, and casting botanicals specifically. Been gardening for years and just loved plants and being outdoors, and so I started taking some of the plants from my garden and pods and cones and things that I found on walks, and I cast those and straight from the botanicals, so that I end up with that same pod or leaf in sterling silver or gold. It's magical because the way the casting process works is you start with whatever botanical, say it's a poppy pod, and you attach it to this base that you then, when you attach it with wax, and then you put a metal flask around it, and you pour investment in there. And investment is kind of like plaster of Paris, and it's about the consistency of pancake batter. And so you pour that in there and it covers it up and goes all the way around your botanicals. And then you let that harden, it hardens around it. You take off the rubber base and you put it in a kiln. And the kiln, you run it overnight at 1400 degrees, and it hardens that investment and it burns out the whole botanical. So what is left is the mold or the shell of what was once there. And so then I melt my silver and I pour it into the flask, and I do that under a vacuum, so it pulls it hard into every little crack and crevice, and all those little details get captured in silver. I often will cast a whole variety of different things, not knowing for sure what it's going to be. And then I just lay them all out, and that's when the design process starts for me. I think that a lot of my designs started, and a lot of my inspiration started when I was a kid. So I've always been a collector, even when I was little, and I grew up in a pretty rural setting on a small farm in Montana, and spent a lot of time out in the woods. My brother and I played out in the woods a lot, and I used to make jewelry when I was probably 8 or 9, where I would take rocks and I would polish them with Johnson's paste wax, and then I would glue little settings on them and make jewelry when I was a kid. What I really love about making jewelry is that it is truly problem solving at every stage of the process, whether it's figuring out how something might cast, or sitting down to figure out how you're going to attach to, a stone with a cast piece, and the whole fabrication. You really work with your hands a lot in metalsmithing, and that's what I love to do.